Okay, let's be honest. Have you ever been shopping online? You find the perfect deal, you add it to your cart, and then you get to the checkout page and the price just keeps going up and up? All these mysterious fees and surcharges pop up out of nowhere. It's so frustrating, right? Well, you are definitely not alone.
To really get what's happening here, let's just start with a situation that I'm pretty sure is familiar to almost all of us.
I mean, it's the classic question, isn't it? You see an ad for one price, you budget for that price, but by the time you're about to click buy, the number is completely different. So what is going on?
This feeling of getting nickel and dimed is a classic move in the telecommunications world. You know the drill. You sign up for a great deal on a cable package, but that awesome price gets buried under a mountain of extra charges. Suddenly, your bill is way higher than you ever expected.
This whole frustrating and, let's face it, very deliberate practice, it actually has a name. So let's decode what it is and exactly how it works.
It's called drip pricing, and the strategy is pretty sneaky but simple. First, they lure you in with a really attractive low price. Then, once you're already invested and ready to buy, they start to drip in all these extra mandatory fees.
And let's be super clear here. We're not talking about normal stuff like government taxes or optional things you choose to add on. We are laser-focused on a very specific and often pretty misleading kind of charge.
And this is the key difference right here. On one side, you have totally legitimate charges, sales tax, or maybe you decide to add a premium channel. Fine. But on the other side, you have these mandatory company-imposed fees, things with names like broadcast TV fee or resort fee. These are fees the company literally just made up, a lot of the time just to cover their own costs of doing business.
So why on earth does this work so well? I mean, how are these fees so effective at getting us to pay more? And just how big of a deal is this? Well, it turns out it's a massive, multi-billion-dollar mind game.
It all comes down to a neat little psychological trick called anchoring. See, our brains see that low initial price, and we anchor to it. We lock it in as the real cost. So when all those smaller fees get dripped in later, we tend to brush them off and underestimate how much they actually add up, because we're still mentally stuck on that great deal we thought we were getting.
And the impact is, wow, it's staggering. A Consumer Reports analysis looked at hundreds of cable bills and found that these company-imposed fees add an average surcharge of 24% on top of the advertised price.
So what does that 24% mean for your wallet? Well, for the average cable customer, it adds up to almost $450 in extra, often totally unexpected costs every single year. And for the industry? Oh, it's a goldmine. Using that same data, it's estimated these fees are raking in around $28 billion in revenue every year. And that's just for the cable companies.
And these fees are not static. They are growing incredibly fast. Just look at Comcast. Their broadcast TV and regional sports fees went from $2.50 a month in 2015 to over $18 a month in 2019. That is a crazy increase of more than 600% in just 4 years.
And as you've probably figured out by now, the cable industry is hardly the only place you'll find drip pricing. Nope, these fees are hiding in plain sight pretty much everywhere. Airlines, of course, are famous for this. That ticket price is just the beginning, right? Then they hit you with fees for your bags, fees to pick your seat, and sometimes even fees for your carry-on.
The hotel industry is all over this too, with their mandatory resort fees. They charge you for things like the pool or Wi-Fi, even if you never use them. It's a practice that's even gotten the Federal Trade Commission to investigate because it can be so deceptive.
And we can't forget event ticketing. You see a price for a concert ticket, but by the time you're at the checkout, it's suddenly 30% more expensive. Why? Because of a whole laundry list of service fees, facility fees, and processing fees.
So with these fees being so common and so expensive, you have to ask, is anyone actually doing anything about it? Are we fighting to get some transparency back for consumers?
The good news is, yes, there's actually a history of regulators stepping in. It started way back in 2012 when the US made airlines include all their mandatory fees in the advertised price. The EU did something similar a couple years later. More recently, the Federal Trade Commission has been targeting those sneaky hotel fees and is now proposing even broader rules to take on these unfair or deceptive fees everywhere.
So what's the solution? Well, experts say there's a pretty clear path forward. First, we need new rules that just say, hey, all mandatory fees have to be in the price you advertise up front. Second, we need to actually enforce the consumer protection laws we already have. And finally, there's us, the consumer. We can vote with our wallets by cutting the cord or just choosing companies that are more honest about their pricing.
And that brings us to the last question, which is really for you. Now that you know what drip pricing is, you can spot it, and you understand the psychology behind it, are you going to shop differently? It's definitely something to think about the next time you see a deal that seems just a little too good to be true.